Hello, all you beautiful, wonderful, amazing, spectacular tea people. Today we are doing last year's Pomelo Fragrance Oolong. We're going to talk about how it was made, how it works, and we're doing an experiment. So this is last year's Pomelo Fragrance Oolong. Still in the package, still unopened, been sitting on a shelf. I didn't even put this in the fridge, so it's just been sitting here. And the reason that I did that was I wanted to see if this year I could buy a bunch of it and then see if it'll last if I treat it the right way, because it tends to sell out very, very, very fast. And last year, anyways, I didn't buy very much of it. I mean, I bought enough, but I didn't buy all that much of it, simply because I was worried that it wasn't going to last. But let's do all that today. Now, what are we going to do first? I'm going to brew this tea a couple different ways. Why don't we open it up and we'll see exactly how it fared. Now, I apologize profusely. I forgot the freaking scissors again. But that's okay. I'm doing a live stream, so that's just what you get doing a live stream. So let's open it up. Now, when I'm opening it up right now, I'm really hoping that all the beautiful pomelo-ness, all those beautiful florals are just going to pop right out of this. And it's going to work. Remember, this is last year. This has been basically a year. March 18th, 2022. I think we're okay. I think I'm going to buy as much of this as I can possibly get. Maybe I'll buy, let's see, 5 times maybe 30, maybe like 40. Well, anyways, we'll see. We'll get a lot of it. And, well, it was after I try this, of course. Because this is one of those teas where people absolutely all the time, they ask me for this tea. They say, hey, what about this tea? What about this tea? What about this tea? They say, well, you're just going to have to wait till next year. And the people that have had it, the people that have tried this tea, it blows their mind. They just absolutely love it. Now, let's get into what exactly Pomelo Flower Milk Oolong actually is. So let's get into that right now. What is Pomelo Flower Milk Oolong? Well, you take a Jintren Oolong, right? So you take a milk Oolong, and then you make it. So you make the Oolong, it's a greenish Oolong. You make the Oolong to about maybe 75%, give or take, about 75%, give or take. And then you do this. Now, what I've got over here, I'm going live. I'm also on YouTube and all these different things. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you this. And I think on Instagram, you should be able to hear this. If you actually want to see it, you can either search for Pomelo Fragrance Oolong or look down in my feed. You'll see this video.
This is a pomelo flower. We made the pomelo flower tea. Yeah. So you can see this. Yesterday we picked this flower and give it heat and let it dry. And
right, so you take the flowers, you dry the flowers.
This oolong tea over here.
And you lay them.
Oh, right. Oh, neat.
All right, so okay. Flowers, tea, and you put them all together. And you dry them together.
Oh, yeah. See?
I'm just going to take out.
Okay. So down here, this is a video of, I think that's 4 years ago now. So I think that's 4 years ago. And what we have now is something that is much, much better. Now, if you're on the YouTube, you can see there's the pictures of the flowers right there. And what we have for YouTube or for we have right now is a much, much better machine. And it's this mix between a roaster and a dehumidifier. And anyways, we'll get into the difference between the orange blossom oolong and the pomelo flower oolong, because there's a difference between those two teas, quite a large one. And we'll get into that into a minute. But first, I've got the first steep going on this tea. Now, this particular tea is perfect for being scented by the pomelo flower oolong. 1, it's not too expensive. 2, it's a milk oolong, so it's got a lot of butteriness. And 3, it's 3/4 finished, right? So it's like, well, maybe more than that, 85% finished. And so last year you can see the tea, the stems are kind of big. It's not tightly rolled in a ball. So when you look at the tea leaves, you can actually see the tea leaves, the stems, and you can see them. And so what that means is when they're placed with the flowers have lots of surface area. The scent of the flowers, lots of surface area to attach to the tea leaves. Now, again, this has just been opened up a year later. And it's not quite as dramatic as when it's freshly done. But it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. Anyways, here, this is just the first steep here. And the first steep is pretty watery. The first steep is pretty watery. But we'll just go and we'll see what happens. The aftertaste is okay. We're going to need a second and a third steep to make sure here. Now, what I will say very easily and very quickly, there's no negativeness. Now, I'm used to this tea. I know this tea really well. I want this tea to just fully express itself and be like it's fresh. It's not. It's not fresh, right? It's not fresh. But it's certainly not bad. And it has all the taste characteristics that I want, which makes me think, you know what? I think it's going to be okay. I think we can buy a lot of this tea, and I think it's going to be okay. But I just want to double check. I just want to double check. Now, when we're looking at the actual pomelo flowers, taste terrible. They taste so bad. It is almost beyond belief just how bad they taste. They taste so bad. And they smell so good. They're just like this overwhelming bouquet, perfumey bouquet. It's so beautiful, but they taste, it's just awful. I don't know, pomelos, have you ever actually tasted the skin of a pomelo by accident or maybe on purpose? And you peel it out, there's a little bit of juice that comes up. Well, imagine that, except mixed with an overwhelmingly perfumey smell and this expectation that it's going to taste nice. And then you get this blast of just, it's so awful. So what does that mean? That means that when you are making this tea, you have to make sure none. And when I say none, I mean not a single one. None of the petals, the flower petals, actually make it into the tea. So when you drink it together, it's just, you can't do it. It doesn't work. Now, what does work is the smell. So, like I said before, right? When you're drying this out, there's this big machine and they got different layers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 layers, all these layers. Layer of flowers, beautiful bouquet of flowers, no tea, layer of tea, right? And there's a separation between them. And this year, I'm hoping to help out. So we'll do more sort of stuff with that. We'll talk about it. We'll be there as it actually happens. And what's that doing is it's just the scent. It's just the scent of the tea, of the flowers that get into the tea. Now, why is that different than the orange blossom? Well, it's different from the orange blossom because orange blossoms, those flowers actually taste pretty good. You can put them in your tea and they give you this amazing, creamsicle, sweet, creamy, all that sort of stuff. Like it's so good to actually have the flowers of the oranges in, but there's not as much perfume. It's more citrusy, but it works. Now that's the orange. I don't have any of that left. That sells out as well. I think I got to get a lot of that as well. But there's so many people that want those different types of teas. I'm happy. I'm excited. It's springtime. Tea's getting made. It's springtime, right? Now the second steep here, I'm a little bit more disappointed in the floralness. Hopefully the third steep, it'll come out. Now, again, this was not stored the right way. This was not stored nicely. The taste of the tea is there. It's okay. The floralness is there and it's okay. But it's not as strong or as good as I wish it was, which makes sense, right? So remember when you're scenting a tea, there's different types of teas that you can use to scent the tea. in general, you want a tea that is not, it doesn't have any floralness to it at all. That's the tea that you want to scent with flowers. So Jintren, right, the milk oolong is perfect for that. It's got the milkiness, and it's got the milkiness, right? So that the beautiful sort of milky, big mouth feel, but it doesn't have a lot of floral. And so there isn't a competing floralness, right? So you don't want to be using chin sheens. You don't want to be using a lot of the other flavors, the other tea flavors to scent flowers. Jintren just works perfectly. It really does, because it gives you that beautiful taste and everything going on with it. It just works out so well. Now, what I am really looking for in this tea is just to see how long it's going to last if I just stick it on a shelf, just ziplocked. Not ziplocked, airlocked. And it's okay. It's actually, like I'm drinking right now, it's okay. Because this is one of those teas you want to consume fresh. It's not really a tea you can age. Now, this guy here has been sitting in this for about 11 minutes. So it's been sitting in hot water for 11 minutes. And usually after 11 minutes, the leaves have opened up. But you can see here, the leaves have not really opened up, which makes a lot of sense because you can see here this tea hasn't really opened up, which makes a lot of sense. And it makes a lot of sense because I didn't store it right? So if you're going to take a tea like this and you're really going to try and store it for a year, you're going to want to put it in the freezer. You're going to want to put it in the fridge. You're going to want to do all sorts of different things with it to make sure that it will last, that it will be okay in that sense. Whereas this tea, not so much. I did not store it the right way. But let's give it a taste and see how it is. It is not giving me the floral boost that I wish it would. The floral boost is perhaps in the aftertaste, but it's still okay. It's still okay. It's okay. Right? I'm not complaining. I'm not saying anything bad about it. There's no negativeness to it. Now, with this one, this is the third steep of this one. And I don't know if you noticed, but I did a little bit of cheating. So I did a little bit of cheating on the third steep of this one. And what I did was I left it in hot water for an extra long period of time. Now, those leaves are now opening up. Those leaves should be just pumping out really, really nice flavors for the tea. And I'm hoping for the flowers as well. Again, these are going to be released very soon. These teas are going to be on the site. I'm going to do a pre-sale for them as well. And I'm going to help, when they're actually getting made, I'm going to go and we'll help make it. But this is different than the orange blossom. Remember, the orange blossom actually has the blossoms in it. This is the pomelo fragrance, right? And so the pomelo fragrance, hoping, right? Hoping that it'll last a long time. And I think it will. I'm pleasantly surprised. Because, these greenish teas, they shouldn't last for like a year. They don't. And this is a sweet, milky, doesn't have the body that I wish it did. Certainly doesn't have the body when it was fresh, but it's been a year sitting in a bag. And overall, pretty good. Certainly not bad in any case. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to jump in, and if you are watching this, I am going to, let's see, I'm going to go, you know what I found? I found an old video from years ago. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this YouTube video. Now, you can go on YouTube and find this video pretty easily. And, okay, share screen. There we go. And so here, this is actually pretty funny because this is me from a couple years ago. Let's see how I'll put these together. How am I looking from last year? We'll use this one. Have I changed all that much? Have I changed? Not that much. Not that much. I mean, what's that? That's from like 2 years ago. But anyways, in this video that you can see again, if you're in the YouTube or the Facebook, you can actually see it. But where I am is I am underneath the pomelo trees, surrounded by the grass, and I am right beside, well, basically where you get the pomelo trees. And so it sort of gives you an idea of where it's grown, right? So you get these big old pomelo trees, these old, the one that's in the picture here is like, I don't know, at least 50 or 60 years old. It's a big, beautiful pomelo tree. And when these things start, they shoot out so many flowers, right? So one of these pomelo trees, you're looking at like, you probably get about, I'm going to say about 40 to 50 pomelos, right? So when they start growing up, so imagine 40 or 50 pomelos on like a big old tree, and the pomelos are like big, huge pomelos. But before that happens, all the flowers come out, and that's right. Wow. It's going to start in about 3 weeks from now, but I cannot wait to go to Rayshui, to go to Wuhe, to go visit my friends there, to help in the production. And then you drive. And one of my favorite things to do is you drive, and then once you turn this corner, you go across this bridge, you go underneath another bridge, and then you're driving up, and you roll down the windows, and the springtime is there. You can hear the buzzing of the bees, the chirping of the birds, and the smell of pomelo fills the valley. And when the weather just hits perfectly, you get like 3 or 4, days up to 2 or 3 weeks where the whole valley just smells of pomelo blossoms, and it is something else. And it reminds me, obviously, when I'm drinking the tea, even if it is a year old, right? Even if it is a year old. Now, this tea is, well, a year old. It's not all that special. It's amazingly special when it's fresh. But after it's been sitting in a bag in a shelf for a year, you're like, whoa, what does that smell? Oh, I wish it was stronger. But what you going to do? Again, the reason that I'm drinking it is because I'm thinking, okay, how is this going to... Usually I only buy a small amount, or I buy little bits until it's all gone. Because I want people, if they do get this tea, I want people to really, really, really sort of get it fresh. I want people to get it fresh. And so, that's sort of the thing with that. Now here, let's see. I'll play a little bit of this and see if it works here. Here. Let's see. Does it work? 2020 spring 2020 version of this tea. Spring 2020 in the before times, right? In the before times. So there is a danger with this tea that the flower can be too overpowering. It's too perfumey. You don't get much of the tea in there. Anyways, you can. But the way they do it here is they do it so that the anyway, so that's it. If you want to see that, there's a picture of the actual. You watch it on YouTube, and that's what, 3 years ago now. 3 years ago, back in the before times, and back in the carefree times back then. But you can see that's really quite a lot of fun, and that's something that I really really enjoy. This tea, and when that happens, again, the season is just so beautiful. It's just so beautiful here when that happens. Now, what is going to happen the next little while? Well, I really have to get the. Yeah, it really doesn't open as much. So there we go. My guess is 8 months. So this is not going to last. It's not going to last a full year, but 8 months. So I'm going to buy enough to sell for 8 months. And I'm going to buy probably, like last year was sold out by June. So March, April, May, and then it was gone. So I only got it at the end of March. It only lasted like a month in the shop. A month and a half, 2 months. So I think what I'm going to do next year, or this year, is I'm going to buy enough to last me until maybe September, October. So what? Triple. I'm going to buy triple. or quadruple the amount of tea, and so it'll last a little bit longer. And then people can buy more if they want. But I'm not going to buy enough to last me for a full year. I don't think that's the right thing to do. I do not think that is the right thing to do. And it's just like a high quality tea. It's not the perfect tea. Again, if it was perfect tea, you wouldn't want to scent it. But the floral scent of the pomelos just impacts it perfectly. It's just right. It really is. It's just right. But that's good news. It didn't completely die and go rotten and be disgusting. But look for some really nice content when that gets started in a couple weeks. I've already talked to my buddy. You know, I'll sleep on the floor and help make some tea during that time period, and I'll become a tea guy for the springtime. Hopefully, I'll get rid of some of this and start rolling teas myself, which would be a lot of fun. But there we go. That's it for today. Any questions about any of the stuff that I've gone through? If there's any questions, throw them in the chat. What I'm going to be doing again in the next little while, getting ready for this, what's coming next. All right, so I'm getting ready for the springtime teas and going and traveling. Next thing I'm got to do is the sets. So I've got 5 different sets that I want to do that I haven't done yet. So the black tea set, the understanding Taiwanese black teas, understanding Taiwanese oolongs, understanding Taiwanese roasted teas, the 4 mountain taster set, and I forget what the last one is, but I wrote it down somewhere else. Anyways, a bunch of those sets are going to be what's coming up next, and then the travel starts. So this spring I'm going to be going to a bunch of different places and traveling and seeing everybody make their teas. Alishan is definitely a place I want to go this year and spend a lot of time in Alishan when they're making teas this spring. But anyways, there we go. So thank you for watching. Any questions about this, just throw it in the chat or get in touch with me. Wherever in the world you are and whatever you're doing, I certainly hope you have just an amazing, amazing day. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next live stream.